Hello everybody. Alright, so today again, exciting news. I think I have found the best or the two best Shaco builds that you can currently run. Now, keep in mind, this might change with future patches, this might get hotfixed, it might get, whatever. And this is also my opinion, so if you guys disagree, have a better build, or what you think is a better build, then obviously let me know in the comment section down below. But again, opinions might vary and things are going to get changed, so just keep that in mind. Before I go into more detail though, I want to give a quick shout out to my Twitch channel. I'll be streaming pretty much every single day, and I'm going to be testing mostly AP and Bruiser builds from now on, because I think this 80 build is pretty much refined to its, best state possible. So if you're interested in that, link is in the description down below. So without further ado, let's head right into the builds. So as I'm actually editing this video, I just saw Mark Yetter post a tweet about changing Eclipse's stats. Now, it's hard to say if this is actually going to change too much. I honestly still think Eclipse is going to be the best or the second best item, but again, you will see my opinion on this in just a second. So a lot of people are wondering, should we go Tiamat or should we even go this Iron Whip thingy? Honestly, it is not really worth it. You're spending a lot of gold for something that isn't actually Tiamat, so I really don't think it's worth it. Tiamat doesn't have the active anymore, and this Iron Whip thingy doesn't have the passive, so it really isn't worth it, in my opinion. The clear is going to be worse, but that's just something we're going to have to deal with. I don't think spending that much gold for such a shitty item is worth it, just so we have a slightly better clear, because honestly, without the active, Tiamat is pretty useless, because it doesn't really add any damage to our combo, and spending that much gold delaying our mythic items is just a waste of time, in my opinion. So now, the important question: which mythic item do we rush? And to answer that question, it's probably not going to be what you think it is. Now, most of you would probably answer Dustblade, but I think Dustblade is actually the worst out of the 3 assassin mythic items. Now, the reason for that is actually rather simple. It feels really nice to have infinite invisibility, but it's really not that easy to proc. You have decent on it damage, the stats are nice, the mythic passive is okay, but I feel like that invisibility is just really not worth it. I'd rather have the other stats from the other items, because realistically you're not going to proc the invisibility too much, and I don't know, it just feels too gimmicky. I might be wrong, maybe things are going to be different in the future and I'm going to feel different about this, but at the moment I feel like, I don't know, it just really isn't it, honestly. So the choice between Eclipse and Prowler's Claw is actually a little bit more complicated than you might think. Prowler's Claw, for example, has great all-in. It allows you to queue into them, then use Prowler's Claw to gap close, get behind them, backstab them, and just assassinate them as fast as possible. So it does have more burst than Eclipse, but on the other hand, Eclipse has better follow-up, which means once you are on top of your target, it is easier to stick to them. It is also easier to chunk them down and you have more consistent DPS, in my opinion. Now again, which item you want to build, which item you prefer, is up to you. I honestly like Eclipse more. It also has, in my opinion, the better substats. You get Omnivamp, which is great for jungle sustain. And honestly, again, it is preference. I feel like Eclipse fits my style better. Sometimes Prowler's Claw is a little bit clunky for me to use, but then again, it comes down to your preference, what you like and what you think is better. Then again, in certain games, maybe Prowler's Claw is going to be better because your only job is going to be assassinating one priority target. But in other games, for example, you might just want to get into that team fight, kill somebody, but you're already really fed, you don't need that much damage, and then you just want to get out. But for example, in that case, you might also want to go Dustblade. It honestly is a bit early to tell exactly which item is the best. I just think that at the moment, Eclipse has the most consistent results. So in terms of boot choices, there is not really a big change in preseason. You're still going to go Berserker Greaves, but you kind of want to wait until you actually finish your first mythic item, in my opinion. You don't really need your boots that early on. So what do you do after your first mythic item? Now, in my opinion, this is where the build becomes pretty much straightforward, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of variation even in the future. Now, unless there's going to be big stat changes, I think Essence Weaver is clearly the best second item. The reason for that is it has great spell haste. It also has pretty good damage. Some of you might be wondering why not Infinity Edge second or why not Navori's Quick Blade second. The reason for that is because for both items you really need a little bit of crit already, like a bit of crit chance, which with only Essence Reaver you don't really have, so that is the reason why. So as a third item, in my opinion, Navori's Quick Blade is going to be the best choice. The reason for that, in my opinion, is really simple. The stats are just too good not to bite. 30 spell haste, 60, 80, 20% crit is just super nice. And now you also have the passive, which basically reduces the cooldown of your non-ultimate abilities if you crit. So again, with 40% crit chance now, you're honestly going to make use of that a lot more than if you were to rush that before Essence Reaver. So as a fourth item, I think Infinity Edge is the best choice. It has the best stats, it gives the most damage, and now with 3 crit items, I think making use of its passive is a lot easier. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you, in my games of testing so far, I haven't had a single game that even lasted until after Infinity Edge. So what to build after, I'm not 100% sure, but honestly just go with a crit item. Probably Collector or Cyrilda's Grudge is going to be your best choice. Just again, read the items, see what you like, and then just match. So in terms of runes, honestly not much has changed. The 2 most dominant rune pages are still going to be Hail of Blades, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Relentless Hunter, and then swapping your secondary rune page depending on what you like. The first option is Sorcery with Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm. This just allows you to have as much AD as possible, which makes one-shotting, especially in the mid to late game, a lot easier. With the second option being Approach Velocity and Free Boots, or Approach Velocity and Futures Market if you want to play a bit more around the early game. Mini runes are pretty much the same for both versions, you just want to go attack speed, adaptive force, and armor. Now before I end this video, I want to make something really clear. As I mentioned earlier, this is my opinion, those builds are after 2 days of testing the preseason patch, which means there's going to be change, there's going to be different items, there's going to be hot fixes, there's going to be patches. So please keep in mind, this is my opinion, this is after 2 days of testing, this is not going to be the ultimate build, and this might actually not be the best build at the moment. It is just supposed to give you a general idea of what is good and what isn't, so please take this with a grain of salt. So as I said earlier, Eclipse got nerfed after only 2 days of PvE testing. Might have been a little bit too early by Mr. Mark Getter, but I don't honestly know. I don't think this patch is actually going to do much about Eclipse being a good choice for Shaco. I'm still going to build it, and I think it's still going to be a core item. I don't think waiting another day, testing and redoing this video is going to do much, because in the end, who knows if Mark Getter isn't going to drop another patch in 2 days, completely changing everything again. So in the end, this would just create another endless cycle, which I don't think is worth it to just try and wait out. But apart from that, that's pretty much it. As always, feedback is highly appreciated in the comment section down below. I'm glad to discuss things. And if you enjoyed the video, obviously, feel free to drop a like. I will make a video about an AP build, and a tank build, or a bruiser build once I find one, so if you don't want to miss that, obviously, sub to the channel, activate the notification bell, and you're good to go. That pretty much wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, feedback appreciated in the comment section down below, and I hope I see you guys next time. Peace.